Welcome back to the Williams Real Estate Channel. I'm your host, Geordie Williams. Today, we are running through how to make an offer on a property. So there's many ways to skin a cat, and it's all down to your personal situation, your current financial position, and what deal you want to get. So from the top, highest risk, highest return would be going unconditional or auction terms. Typically, all auctions are unconditional, which means you pay your deposit when you exchange and there's no way out. So if the finance falls over or you're not satisfied with the property and you want to pull out of the deal, you will lose your deposit. So I find unconditional, you will get the best return, you'll get the best price, even over the top of other buyers. I found if a buyer is offering a certain price, but it's subject to terms, and you can come in with a lower price, but no terms, you'll find that some vendors would go a lower price and have certainty that the deal is going to go through. Because when you add terms into the contract, it gives you a way out. It gives you an opportunity to try and renegotiate the price lower at a later date. It doesn't give certainty to the vendor. So yes, you can add terms into the contract, but ultimately you'll pay for it in the price that you pay. So something to keep in mind when going unconditional, make sure that you have a very strong financial position. You may even have the cash in the bank to buy it outright, and you may not even be relying on a bank. Ideally, that's the best way. But even still, if you've at least got 50, 60% worth of cash to go in as a deposit, if the bank gets wobbly on you, you still have that strong financial position. You've done all the checks and balances. You've got your pre-approval with your bank. You're ready to go. Don't rely on the bank to come through with the goods if you're going unconditional without doing your upfront due diligence with the bank. So that's for unconditional. Same goes for pest and building. If you are looking to go unconditional, you have to do your due diligence up front. So go and inspect the property, do a walkthrough, get a video walkthrough, get photos, get a pest and building report done. So you know the condition of the property. You can factor that condition into your price that you pay up front. That's the best way I find to get the best deal is going unconditional. Recently, we were negotiating a price on a unit. They wanted 335,000. They said that was their rock bottom number. We got them to 307,000 by way of going unconditional. So by giving them certainty, we got them to 307. And if we were subject to finance, subject to pest and building, we may have only got them to probably 330. So you can get a discount. You can save thousands of dollars up front if you quantify what the property needs in terms of work up front. And if you're in a solid financial position and you can offer unconditional, you'll get the best price every day of the week. Second to that, if you can't go unconditional, and I mean, not everyone has thousands of dollars of cash in the bank just to go out and buy casually property, you may need to rely on the bank to give you finance, in which case you can put a subject to finance clause, keeping in mind you can only put provisions in the contract if the property is for sale, private treaty, or off market. If it's running to an auction, forget about it. You need to go unconditional. But if it's for sale or if it's off market and available for sale, then you can negotiate terms. Subject to finance will give you a way out if your finance falls over, and then you will get your deposit money back. Subject to pest and building, again, is another provision for you to do your pest and building report. And if you're unsatisfied with the condition, you can pull out and get your deposit money back, or you can renegotiate the price of that property. Or you may even want to go subject to finance and pest and building, where you have to get your pre-approval done up front, then you go for your unconditional once the contract is signed, and then you also do your pest and building. Once you've satisfied both of those terms, then you'll go unconditional. And if you don't satisfy both of those terms, then you can always pull out. But I find you will get the least return in terms of you'll pay a higher price for the property if you've got all the provisions. So something to definitely think about. And I like to put at least 14 days for these provisions to give you time. If the bank is under the pump or the pest and building inspector can't get to it within the week, at least it gives you that buffer of that 2 weeks to get it done. Because most contracts I find are 5 business days standard. So I like to push it out 2 weeks if we are organizing these extra provisions. Next is the deposit. What deposit should you put down? Typically it's 10% deposit. You may be going 20% to the bank, but in terms of putting it on the contract, 10%. That's typical, and you can go for less, so a 5% or 1 or 2% deposit if you're trying to just get your foot in the door and you don't have much cash. You can do that, but again, it's not the best terms when putting in front of a vendor, and you ultimately pay a higher price, because if the deal falls over and there's only a skinny deposit, then the vendor would ideally only proceed with that if they're getting a decent price for their property. So decent deposit, 10% is typical. I mean, you can go 20, but 10% is pretty typical for transactions in New South Wales, Victoria, and Queensland, which is where we specialize in. And settlement periods. Once you agree the price, you exchange contracts. If you are going and getting your pest and building report done and finance, you go and sort that out. Or if you're going unconditional, that's from that exchange date, you then have the time frame to settle. If you're a big shot and you're going in with cash, you can settle whenever you want, 14 days, 2 weeks. That will get the best price. If you can say, hey, I've got cash, it'll be in your account, I'll wire it to you in a week or 2, you'll get vendors jumping. Cash is king. But if you're relying on a bank, 30 days is probably the quickest they can turn around a settlement. Typical for banks, they will be pushing it, but they can do it 30 days. So if you can offer unconditional 30 days, that's a pretty good offer, or subject to finance, but 30-day settlement terms. But typical is between the 30 days to 42 or even 60 days. But typically I find between 30 and 42 days is standard and expected. But if you want to get a really good price, and if you got the money to buy it, the cash to buy it, off a short settlement period, you'll get a discount every day of the week. But typical 30 to 42 days, give enough time for the bank to get their finances in order. Or you may want to look at delay settlement, where if you're selling another property to raise cash to roll into the next deal, or if you're looking to engage a town planner to start a development application process, you're looking to have delayed terms, so you're not paying interest on the property in that period of time while you muck around with the council, you may want to delay settlement, keeping in mind the price you pay for the property will be higher, and in some cases even higher than their asking price. So the vendor might want a certain price, but they'll agree to a delay settlement if you pay them 5 or 10% more than their asking price, because who wants to sit around waiting for their money to come in for a delayed settlement? So things to think about. If you want help buying an investment grade property and building an all-weather residential foundation portfolio, I can help you. I do a 2-hour strategy session. We'll run through the Williams real estate strategy. We hone in on your skill set, capital, risk profile to tailor the portfolio to your own situation. You may even have existing properties I can run reports on, show you where they sit in the market, and show you how we can add new properties to your portfolio to get you to that next level. Off the back of the 2-hour, I then get out and source the deal through my connections through the sales agents, getting about 50 odd % off market these days. Once we secure a deal, we'll run through obviously the terms that go into the contract, arrange the conveyancer solicitor to review the contract. Once it's executed, I give you the whole transaction support through to settlement, help you set up your property management and do any cosmetic renovations you may wish to do so, and help you on your way to your next deal to get the property refinanced, to get you in a position to keep rolling it every day, every year, 10 and 10 years, keep it rolling. Make it your goal, make it your routine to buy a property every year and you will never look back. Until next time, thanks for watching. If you want help, shoot me an email.